Welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, the Midwest's hottest vacation destination. Hello, I'm your host, Jill Bauer, and I am the Public Relations Manager at Shores and Islands, Ohio. And joining me, as always, is my co-host, Dayton Barnett, our Social Media Manager. Dayton and I are here every week to give you the inside scoop on everything happening here on our island and coastal communities, and the events and attractions that we think you'll want to know more about and hopefully come visit. What's up, Dayton?
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's a rainy day here on the North Coast, and hopefully that rain won't stick around, but we know that it's, important for growing, and it's all part of spring. What have you been out and about doing and discovering in the region this week, Dayton?
Honestly, I have been so caught up in exactly what we're talking about today, and that's getting ready for birding, and that's getting ready for that whole season, and that's getting ready for the events that are going to be happening around it. We'll get into it, obviously, but it's going to be so much happening for that event that I've just been packed up on trying to figure out what I'm going to do, where I'm going to be, and where I'm going to be capturing pictures and stuff and everything for it. So it's getting pretty packed up here and just getting ready for the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you posted a video last week, I think, that was, we're ready for summer, and a lot of people got really excited about summer on the North Coast with being out on the water and being at Cedar Point and being able to do all of those fun things that we're looking forward to, of course, every year. But, we know we're a year-round destination. It's not all about summer. So make sure you're following us on our social media channels so that you can see what's going on year-round. If you're not already, be sure to follow along with @Shores and Islands on Instagram and Facebook. And for some reason, we're Shores and Islands OH on TikTok. We're also on X, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find all of those links on our website, shoresandislands.com. And be sure to engage with Dayton over there. Dayton loves to talk to our comment back, right?
The more engaging, the better. We get to have fun with it, and I try to. So definitely talking to DM us, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So, as we mentioned, things are starting to warm up. Spring is in the air here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. So, today on the podcast, we have a special treat with not one, but two amazing guests joining us. We have Kimberly and Kenn Kaufman. Kimberly Kaufman is the executive director of Black Swamp Bird Observatory and the co-founder of The Biggest Week in American Birding. She serves as a board member of the American Bird Conservancy and represents Oak Harbor Chamber of Commerce on the Shores and Islands, Ohio Board of Directors. She's also been the driving force behind the effort to build Northwest Ohio's spring birding tourism season. And her husband, Kenn, is also with us. Kenn Kaufman is a world-renowned birder, author, and artist. His 13 books include 7 titles in his own series, Kaufman Field Guides, which are designed to encourage beginners by making the first steps in nature study as easy as possible. His book, A Season in the Wind, which was published in 2019, is focused on songbird migration in Northwest Ohio, and that book has helped to market the Northwest Ohio region as a birding destination. His next book, The Birds That Audubon Missed, will launch on May 7th during this year's Biggest Week in American Birding. Welcome to the podcast, both Kim and Kenn.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be here.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you both.
Thank you so much, Jill. We're really excited about today.
Let's start with Kenn. You have famously birded all over the world, which is so special. What is so special about this part of Ohio for birding?
Well, when I first came to Ohio, the most special thing about the birding here was the fact that Kim lived here. But it actually turns out this is one of the best places in North America to see the spring migration. Birds are moving north on a broad front all across the continent. They get to the edge of Lake Erie, and they stop to think about it before they go on farther north. And so in the springtime, you get these numbers of birds just piling up here, and they become really easy to see. The spring migration season begins in the middle of February, and it lasts until early June. But the peak is in late April and the first half of May, when all these songbirds are coming north from the tropics and pausing on the edge of Lake Erie. And there's this wild variety of these small, colorful songbirds, and birders come here literally from all over the world to enjoy this spectacle.
So let's shift to Kim then. People coming here from all over the world. Let's talk a little bit about the tourism aspect of it. What is the economic impact to this region of birding?
Well, it's huge, Jill. We've really built a tourism season that has a tremendous economic impact for Northwest Ohio. We've had birders from every state, more than 50 countries and 6 continents birding here during Biggest Week, and the annual economic impact is in excess of $40 million.
Wow, that is spectacular. And you are part of an organization, the Black Swamp Bird Observatory. Can you tell us a little bit about that group?
Well, Black Swamp Bird Observatory is a nonprofit. We were founded in 1992. We've been studying songbird migration for more than 30 years in the region, so we know a lot about how migratory birds are using the landscape of Northwest Ohio. We also provide school programs, free school programs for thousands of students, and then we built the Biggest Week in American Birding as part of our outreach to market the area to birders, but also designed to bring economic impact to Northwest Ohio. So that's sort of a romp through what Black Swamp Bird Observatory does.
So where are you located?
We are based in Oak Harbor, but our headquarters is located just inside the entrance to McGee Marsh Wildlife Area. And if you want your organization positioned to interact with birders, there's no better location on the continent than to be at McGee Marsh Wildlife Area.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. What makes McGee Marsh so special?
Really, a lot of it has to do with access. Not only is the habitat at McGee Marsh exactly what a migratory songbird is looking for. So these tiny birds that weigh less than an ounce, they don't swim, they don't even float. So before they cross a large body of water, they want to rest and refuel, feed up mostly on insects so that they're at their energetic best before they power on across this open body of water. So the habitat there is exactly what migratory birds are looking for, wooded habitat right on the edge of the lake. But then you combine that with this fantastic boardwalk that runs right through that habitat. It keeps birders from destroying the habitat, so they're kept on that boardwalk, but it allows us to immerse birders in spring migration. The birds are so close, so low, and it just all the stars align at McGee Marsh to provide this tremendous birding experience that honestly changes people's lives. It's a life-changing experience there.
Obviously, like I've seen when it comes to like social media side of things, especially since so many people come here to go birding, and especially in that area, we'll get tagged in so many photos, and even like just throughout the year randomly, people like love this. Like this is very adamant and it's everywhere. We're tagged in so many like beautiful and amazing photos of just people birding and their experience. And then when it comes to McGee, I've seen photos of Biggest Week, and that it is just, it's packed, and it's somewhere I'm definitely going to be this year, because I will definitely make sure I get out there to capture some of it and do some birding myself, because I've never actually been birding. But for those who don't know, what is the Biggest Week in American Birding? Well,
first of all, Dayton, the fact that you just said you've never gone birding, you are going birding this year, my friend.
I mean, it's just like one of those things. Like, I guess I never really like knew about. There's a lot of things when you come to this region, like shores and islands in general. It's just so much that happens here that like doesn't happen in other areas. So it's like I would have never thought.
I know. I love this place so much. It's like marketing chocolate or something to try to get people here. It's just, the birding is spectacular, but all the other things about Northwest Ohio that we welcome people here better than any place in the world. There are all these other things to do. People are so friendly. It's not expensive to travel here. It's just such a beautiful thing to market to the birding community on a global scale. To circle back to your question, and we will get you out birding this spring. You have to promise to go birding with us so we can, share all this whole experience with you. But
yes,
if you just strictly look at it on paper, the Biggest Week in American Birding is a 10-day birding festival held in early May, and it's timed to coincide with the peak of songbird migration. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. But underneath all that is one of the most incredible, joyful, impactful, and meaning birding experiences anywhere on the planet. You have people from all walks of life from all over the world coming together in huge numbers, all to celebrate one common love of birds and birding. And the vibe is just so positive and happy. And part of that is our intentional effort to make the biggest week as welcoming and as inclusive as we possibly can. Identifying potential barriers to birding and to the festival and just attacking those barriers and breaking them down every year. So it's so much more than just an event. It's been going on long enough that we have people who have met here and got married. Businesses have formed by the contacts that have been made here through networking. Lifelong friendships have been forged at this event. And in addition, it has developed this tremendous love of Northwest Ohio, and visiting people are even moving here after they come and spend time during the festival. So in 10 days, we try to do as much for the birders who are registered, and in turn, as much as we can for Northwest Ohio with the impact that this event has. We take all of those responsibilities very seriously, working with many, many partners, agencies, organizations, individuals, corporations, to make it everything that it can possibly be.
Yeah, it is a lot that goes on. And you said 10 days. So could you tell us some of the basic information, the dates of the event? And then I know there's, location wise, this is happening across, a couple different areas, a lot of things that are going to be happening, activities, workshops. Can you kind of touch on some of that basic information, dates, location, planned activities, workshop, field trips?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dayton. So the dates for 2024 are May 3rd through the 12th. With registration, you get 2 free field trips every morning at McGee Marsh Wildlife Area. There are evening socials that we're really, really enhancing this year. Every participant will get some tickets for free giveaways every night at Maumee Bay Lodge and Conference Center. That's where the festival is headquartered. There's a birders marketplace there with all kinds of amazing things to purchase, to shop for jewelry. We have tour companies that offer trips around the world. At McGee Marsh Wildlife Area, there's a big white tent that we call Optics Alley. So if you've thought about purchasing binoculars or camera gear, you'll definitely want to stop in there and try all of this equipment before you buy it. We have field trips that are taking people from oak openings in Lucas County all the way to Huron, going down to Wood County, Sandusky County. It's really encompassing so much of the birding opportunity in Northwest Ohio and even up into Southeast Michigan. There are field trips, keynotes, workshops. If you've never gone birding before or you're a seasoned expert, there's a workshop or some activity for all skill levels. And there's so much more. I encourage people to visit the website at biggestweekinamericanbirding.com. You can register, you can learn all about the festival, and we provide a lot of travel information as well, specific for birders.
So Kim, I have talked to you a couple of times working on some different events coming up for this week, and I know that you have some very special speakers this year that people are really excited about and some different programming going on. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those really special things that are specific to this year, 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jill. So our workshop instructors are some of the most talented, skilled, experienced workshop instructors anywhere in the country. But our keynote lineup this year is just absolutely stellar. We have a banquet during the biggest week on Wednesday, May 8th. And if you've ever heard of the book, The Joy Luck Club, and the movie, The Joy Luck Club, it was written by Amy Tan, this award-winning New York Times bestselling author. Amy Tan is also a birder, and she's written a new book called The Backyard Bird Chronicles about observations of birds in her backyard. She is our banquet keynote speaker. Wow. Which we're thrilled about. We're thrilled to have added recently a gentleman named Peter Kaesner. Peter has achieved what most people thought was humanly impossible. Peter, over the course of several decades, has seen 10,000 of the world's 11,000 bird species. He's seen more different kind of birds than anyone else in the entire world. That just happened in February. So Peter will be here giving a keynote talking about all of the adventures and experience.
I assume that's a world record, right?
It is a world record. He's seen more birds than anyone else in the world. And in addition to that, we are so honored that this is the first place we'll launch Kenn Kaufman's new book, The Birds That Audubon Missed, during the biggest week. I wish I could say it was strategy, but it's just the way the timing shook out with the publisher, and we were very excited to get to launch Kenn's new book at the biggest week. It will be the first place in the world that this book is available for sale. You can pre-order it now. You can find out that information on the Biggest Week in American Birding website. But we're thrilled to have Kenn here with us. I'm also very excited. One of our keynotes, this is sort of segueing into some information about new field trips. But one of the things our team really focused on in terms of barriers to birding in the Biggest Week was accessibility. How accessible are our field trips and activities for people with disabilities? And we all committed to doing a much better job of making the event accessible. So we have added a series of accessible field trips. These field trips are led by expert birders who are using wheelchairs and who are blind.
Wow.
One of our keynote speakers is a gentleman from Tennessee named Jerry Barrier, and Jerry is completely blind. He's going to come to talk to us about birding and enjoying birds in nature from a different perspective, and I think that this is going to be a life-altering keynote. Jerry is going to stay around and lead some of these field trips for us. So sharing birding from people who, whether you're birding from a wheelchair, whether you're listening to birds, really making these field trips accessible. So I think it might be the most special and meaningful Biggest Week we've ever planned, and we are so excited to welcome people to Northwest Ohio to celebrate birds and birding.
Oh, wow. That's really spectacular. I mean, I feel like it would be really inspiring to even know how does one do that, but I'm sure it has to do with the sounds, right? I mean, all of the different sounds that the birds make.
Absolutely. Jerry is mostly enjoying birds by ear, so he'll talk about some techniques for doing that, for listening more intently, and how to identify. Birds can be identified by their songs as well as their plumage. And he's going to talk about that and from an inspirational perspective, and then in the most practical terms, just some tips for enjoying birds by ear, birding by ear.
And I really think, just to go back to the accessibility, birding really is for everyone. It's for all ages and all abilities, and everyone can enjoy it.
Absolutely. And what we've said as we're promoting these accessible field trips is that birding is for everybody and everybody. There are ways to enjoy birds in nature for anyone that's interested. And we want to make sure that this festival offers opportunities for people to enjoy birds no matter how they enjoy them. There's a really important page on the website, Jill, that I want to make sure people see on the festival schedule, on the menu at the top of the website. In that drop-down menu, there is a focus on new things for 2024. And in addition to some new field trips and things that we've offered, we're also doing a lot to increase the usability and how friendly all the interfaces are. So we have an app, the Attendee Hub, that we're going to be launching soon, that will allow people to check their itinerary, the schedule of things that are coming up from their phone anywhere that they are. So just part of the team at Black Swamp Bird Observatory's commitment to always striving to improve this festival any way that we can. So we're really excited about these new tools for participants.
That's awesome. One more question on presentations and things like that. You mentioned before we went on air about a musical performance that's happening that's really special.
Yeah, this is brand new. We have, you mentioned Kenn Kaufman's book, A Season on the Wind, that was published in 2019. This is a book that focuses on bird migration in Northwest Ohio, and it's done a lot to promote and market this region. There is a group of musicians these are world-renowned musicians, and they have put together a cinematic performance. It's a musical performance based on Kenn's book, A Season on the Wind, and that is something that people can register for through the Biggest Week website. You don't even have to register for the festival. It's open to the public, and you can register for that as a standalone activity. There's a lot of information on that new events for 2024 page, but we have seen a couple of their performances based on other books, and it is absolutely marvelous. People will love this, and we're so excited that they're going to base this on Kenn's book, A Season on the Wind.
And what an honor.
It's the world premiere of this performance. They will be performing on Friday, May 10th at Maumee Bay Lodge in the ballroom. They'll be doing another performance on the following Monday at the Toledo Museum of Art in the beautiful glass pavilion. So another great opportunity to take in this incredible performance. The performance of A Season on the Wind, based on Kenn's book, is by the Bower Bird Collective, and these are world-renowned musicians who will be doing this performance, interpreting Kenn's book in a musical performance.
That's really special. That's what an honor to have, music created from your book.
It's an amazing thing. They flew here. They're from Australia. So they came here to do like a little mini example of a couple of their other performances, and we were absolutely blown away. There's a video element to it where on this big screen there are beautiful images and videos of migratory birds as they play this wonderful music. We won't get to see this before they perform it here, so we are really, really excited. And the musicians are Anthony Albrecht and Simone Slattery. And these, if you look at the Bowerbird Collective on their website, you can watch some of their performances. It's just absolutely superb.
We're thrilled, obviously, about the musical performance of A Season on the Wind, and it's an amazing collaboration because you have the Bowerbird Collective from Australia performing it, but much of the music is being written by the Balliet brothers, Doug and Brad, who are noted musicians on the East Coast of the United States. As someone who just wrote a book about bird migration, I'm deeply honored to have this international group of musicians performing the book.
Yeah, that's really special. Go ahead and tell us about your new book, the one that comes out on May 7th.
So I have this new book coming out this year, and it's a shifting of gears from the previous one because my last book was so focused on Northwest Ohio and the amazing spring migration here. The new one, the title is The Birds That Audubon Missed, and it's not just about John James Audubon, but about all the individuals who were running around eastern North America in the early 1800s trying to discover the last few birds that were still unknown to science at that point. And it was really an amazing time. You had all these intense rivalries going on. All these people had to be basically polite to each other on the surface, but they were competing like mad to be the first to find this bird and be able to have the honor of naming it. They would steal specimens from each other, and in some cases they even made things up, made up fictional birds and gave them new names. So when I started researching this book, I began working on it immediately after I finished writing A Season on the Wind, and I thought it was going to be a really straightforward story. But it became more and more exciting as I went through and discovered so much about these individuals. They were really amazing, hardworking characters who were so focused on learning about birds, and they had a great dedication to science, but at the same time, they were so competitive that they crossed the line into bizarre behavior more than once. And so it was a great time of discovery. So much of eastern North America was still kind of a wilderness at that point. I mean, obviously there had been indigenous people living here, and those peoples knew the local birds, but so many of the native tribes had been driven out or decimated by disease that a lot of the original knowledge had been lost. So you had these Europeans coming into eastern North America and trying to start over and, figure out what are all these birds. And so they could find things that were at least temporarily completely unknown. And really an exciting time for them. So on top of that, you had artists like Audubon trying to paint these birds, to illustrate them for the first time. And in the book, I explore the whole history of how these birds were illustrated, how they were discovered, how some of them remained unknown for years. There are some songbirds that are very common migrants through northwest Ohio. Swainson's thrush, for example. And on a good day in May, you can see 20 or 30 or 50 Swainson's thrushes along the boardwalk at McGee Marsh. But John James Audubon and his friends and rivals all managed to miss that bird completely. It wasn't even described to science until after Audubon had finished his work. So lots of different angles to unpack in this book. It's the most ambitious book I've ever written. I'm going to be interested to see what the reception for it is. It's being published by Simon & Schuster, which is one of the big publishing firms in New York, and we're excited to see just what kind of impact it has.
As you said, I think a lot of people are really going to be excited about this as well, and just there's a lot of anticipation for it. Could you remind us where can people get this book?
Well, the book will be published on May 7th, and after that it would be available any place where you would buy books. The Black Swamp Bird Observatory has a page on their website now making it possible to pre-order the book, but they won't be able to send those out until after May 15th because everyone at the observatory is going to be very busy.
Yeah, they're just slightly busy that week.
Just a little, yeah. But if people are attending the biggest week, the book will be for sale at the Maumee Bay Lodge and Conference Center, where the observatory will have a sales desk there, so it would be possible to get it there. And
Nice.
Of course, it'll be sold in like standard bookstores and on all the usual online sources for books.
But if you get it at the festival, you have the opportunity to meet the author.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be. I'm a big fan of the biggest week in American birding, and so I'll be around all week. And they can't actually sell the book until Tuesday, May 7th, because that's the official publication date. But anytime that day or after that day, I'd be happy to sign copies or
Nice.
Meet anyone who has bought the book and is interested.
That's great. So going back to the biggest week in American birding, Kim, you mentioned some events you have to register for and others are just free events and are not part of the registration. How do people find that out, what's all going on and what you have to register for?
If people visit the biggest week in American birding.com, there's a lot of information on the festival. I want to point out a couple of things. Under festival info, there's a frequently asked question tab that's specific to people who are new to birding and new to the festival. There's information on how to select binoculars and some birding tips, and then a lot of information about the festival. But under the festival schedule is everything that you need to know about Biggest Week, about what's new, the summary schedule, free workshops, the things that you don't have to register for. It's all really clearly delineated on the Biggest Week website. And for those who are just kind of easing into birding, or if you have a spouse or a friend that's coming along, there are art workshops that are absolutely fabulous. We've got a bunch of different artists. We have a bird trivia night happening at Maumee Bay, and our annual very popular bird tattoo contest is happening again this year. So if you have some bird ink or you are going to get some bird tattoo contest, no need to register. Just show up with your publicly shareable bird tattoo and enter the contest, and we give away some fabulous prizes for the top 3 entries in the bird tattoo contest. So really something for everyone, and the festival website is the perfect place to get information. If you want to know more about Black Swamp Bird Observatory, please visit our website. It's the acronym for Black Swamp Bird Observatory, BSBO.org. There's a lot of information about our research, about our education programs, and everything else this little dynamic organization does for birds and Northwest Ohio, in addition to hosting the biggest week in American birding.
So for the local listeners, are there still volunteer opportunities available?
We are so fortunate to have this tremendous volunteer team, more than 200 volunteers coming together. The volunteer slots are essentially filled. I still encourage people to sign up through the website to volunteer. There's an easy tab right at the top of the homepage to click to volunteer, because we're coming up with some new opportunities, really expanding to allow all the people who are interested to be part of this amazing event. And we take really good care of our volunteers. They get a free t-shirt, a free tote bag, lots of love from the staff, and it's a great opportunity to come and meet people from all over the world. So if they sign up, working on some communications to volunteers right now with some additional opportunities to get involved during the biggest week. Volunteers also get free registration. They can skip that general registration, and that's complimentary for our volunteers. So there are wonderful volunteer opportunities, and we're expanding that to give everyone a chance.
With that being said, can you repeat the website one more time for us?
All the information about the festival, about birds, about birding, so much more information about how to get involved. Visit biggestweekinamericanbirding.com for all of that information about the festival and everything else related to birding in Northwest Ohio in spring.
Is there anything else that we did not cover that either one of you want to make sure we get on?
The only thing for me, Jill, is that I want to give a special shout out to the team at Black Swamp Bird Observatory. They have to wear many hats. I have scientists who, during spring and fall migration, are out conducting scientific research, who are putting together our visitor's guide. Our visitor's guide, people should watch for that coming out on newsstands soon. It's a 100-page magazine that is packed, not just with information about the festival, but information about Northwest Ohio. All the volunteers that come from the local area, from around the country, and then to our sponsors. We could not do this festival or anything that we do without the sponsorship support that we get. And if you're interested in adding your name to that sponsorship list, please let me know. And then our co-host at Shores and Islands, Ohio, Destination Toledo, and Maumee Bay Lodge and Conference Center, being part of the Shores and Islands, Ohio board out of the starting gate of putting together Biggest Week, brought so many resources to us to build this festival with tourism in mind. And I'm so grateful to Larry Fletcher and the whole team at Shores and Islands, Ohio for everything they've done. Having both visitors bureaus as our co-host means that everyone in the region gets the best that the region has to offer when they're here during the Biggest Week in American Birding. So a shout out to everyone that works hard to make this festival possible. And we promise that we're going to deliver something really special in May.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll shout out right back to you because you are our, leading experts on birding, and we try to put as much information as we can on our website at shoresandislands.com on birding, on the Biggest Week in American Birding, on Black Swamp Bird Observatory, but we get all of our details. We want to make sure that we're explaining everything correctly to people, and we definitely use you as a resource as well, and it is such a fantastic collaboration, as you mentioned, Destination Toledo and Maumee Bay Lodge, and we thank you, for bringing this event and for bringing so many people to Northwest Ohio. We know they're coming for birding anyway. we do recognize that, and that's fantastic, but I think this event really makes it extra special for them. So thank you.
Well, Jill, I think one important thing, and I always focus on the region, but I do want to make this observation that before we started this festival, no one came here to go birding. The birds have been coming here for millennia. The access was there. Nothing has changed about that. What's changed is that this little organization worked their tails off to reach out to partners to educate the entire region. We just never slow down to not just keep it to ourselves, but to make sure the region understands their role in bird tourism. And I just have to give credit to my little team and to Ken, because we have worked so hard to create this tourism industry and educate our partners. That's when everything changed. And I think I have to give credit to my board and the staff and everyone that's worked hard to make that possible. That's the change agent.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And again, anything that supports travel and tourism on a year-round basis, Dayton and I kind of talked a little bit about the beginning about how excited we are for summer, but it's not just about the summer season anymore. I mean, there's really so much going on year-round, and this is really the boost that spring needed. Like you said, the birds were already here. We just needed people to know that they could see them and that they could observe them so closely and so many in one place. So you guys did an amazing job getting the word out as well.
Yeah, and the data shows that the biggest percentage of people that are coming here are coming during that 10-day stretch. So our collaborative marketing efforts through Black Swamp Biggest Week, the reach of Ken, who has a global reputation. Thank you, Ken, for all that you do for this festival in Black Swamp in Northwest Ohio. All of us working together, you guys trusting our expertise and leveraging that, it makes all the difference in the world, Jill, and there's so much more that we can continue to do together.
That's fantastic. All right. Anything else? I want to make sure we get it all in before we close out.
No, just thank you so much for this opportunity. It's an honor to work with the team at Shores and Islands, Ohio, and Ken and I talk often about how lucky we are to work with such great people. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course. It was an honor for us to have you on the podcast today. So special thanks again to Kimberly and Kenn Kaufman for joining us today. And thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts so that you don't miss a minute of the action here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can find more information, including past episodes, online at shoresandislands.com. And Dayton and I will catch you soon over on the Magee Marsh Boardwalk. And we'll see you guys next time on The Shoreline.